All right, Shalom. Kahala Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Kakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace salutations unto the hopeful elect. Once again, I am Yahusap. I am just simply Yahusap. And tonight's topic will be entitled, There is no tomorrow unto the wicked. All right? Now I'm going to repeat that again. There is no tomorrow unto the wicked. And this title for the Spirit was self-inspired. Okay. I was thinking about, it was just self-inspired for the Spirit. And I called it, There is no tomorrow unto the wicked, based on several scriptures that I already have lined up that, Lord willing, will go hand in hand with this topic tonight. All right. And basically, like I said again, there is no tomorrow unto the wicked. All right. And it may not be an exact biblical scripture nor quote, but once again, it is based on several scriptures that, Lord willing, um, I will begin to reveal shortly. All right. Um, okay. Like Romans 9:13, for example. All right. Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. All right. That's one prime example right there that the Lord is only dealing with only one nation of people, one specific seed of people on the planet Earth. All right, he he is not this ever loving worldly figure that many of our own people and the rest of the world, the heathen nations have been led to believe that he is. All right. Okay. The Lord really did not come. He did not really sacrifice on that cross for the whole wide world. Okay. He did it only for Israel. Okay. And when I say Israel, okay, I'm talking about. You see that illustration right there? What do you see? So-called colored people. All right. So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? At the end of the day, they are, as much as the white power structure has done everything it could with its power to hid and obstruct, if I'm not mistaken, obstruct, I might look that word up shortly. But if I'm not mistaken, obstruct it's another word for hid. It's another word for blocking. Okay, that they have tried blocking this truth for many years. All right, and now the wicked is being revealed. Okay, the wicked is being revealed as it was foretold in Second Thessalonians. All right, 2:8, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so for me personally, the wicked has been revealed, for the past 30 years. Okay? When the Lord first led and guided me to learn this truth, but back in 1995. All right? And that illustration right there uh, goes all the way back, all right, to them days when the original teachers at 1 West 125th Street. All right. I started watching their programs on cable TV through public access. And this was one of the images that, you know, that they would air on TV. And I was lucky enough to find it. All right. And it brings back some memories. So this thing with me personally goes way back, long before YouTube. All right, long before anyone ever even heard or thought about YouTube. All right, I used to watch these these programs. I had to wait several days or a week to keep keep track with them. Okay, all right. A lot of people take the internet for granted today. All right. You can just watch any video you want at any given time. But I had to sit back and wait up to a week. All right. To follow up with the next program and what new teachings they were gonna that they were gonna come up with, or what new pages from the Russian icons they would show, and other historical books that they would dig up back then and just show it on in front of the damn video camera, man. All right, that's how it was back then. All right, so but anyway, but getting back to this topic, all right. I just made mention of the image and where it came from and so and so. All right. Okay, that's how I first started learning this truth now. All right, and from way back then, I started picking up already. You know, the Lord is a very he's a very separatist and nationalist. Kind of a you know a historic figure. He's not the same historic figure that many of y'all were foolishly led to believe. All right, and he himself will show you that upon his return. All right, plain and simple. All right. Now, briefly getting back to the illustration. All right, I don't know who made that drawing because it is a very a well done a hand drawn illustration, right? It basically predicts, it basically gives a preview on how the Lord, whose real name is Yahweh Shai, is coming back on this earth. All right, okay. It basically gives you a little preview. All right, you see, only colored men behind the Lord. The Lord is front and center. Okay, he's the main figure you see right there, right? The one with the big white afro, and you see him holding like a scroll, and out of his hand, he's shooting laser beams, right? Out of his right hand, he's shooting laser beams, and hold on, and right below the laser beams, you see a so-called white man, an Edomite, getting roasted to death. All right, and you see the so-called UFOs, the chariots in the background. Okay, so the Lord is front and center here, along with the rest of Lord willing, the elect, 144,000. All right. that Lord willing, he will lead victoriously in these last days out of all this present day shame and captivity that many of us are yet still in. Okay, so right now, as we live in a world where basically the wicked that's ruling, okay, this so-called new world order that they're trying to establish, okay, and that it's fast approaching. All right, these new laws and legislations that they make, these draconian like laws, right? Okay, all of these are made and set up to further suppress our people, and it is basically their own way of saying that we as a people, as a colored people, I should say, don't have a tomorrow in their setup. Okay, we don't have a tomorrow. That's what the NWO is about. All right, there is no tomorrow for the righteous down here. You can forget about that. Okay, so the so-called white man is trying to establish, he's trying to make up his own rules. He wants to be the most high. So in his imaginary world, right, and his own mind and his own agenda, well, the Most High says that only his people have a tomorrow. Only his people are going to rise up. I'm going to rise up. I'm going to rise myself up in my own kingdom while I still have time. Yet his own time is running short. So I got no other choice but to further suppress these blacks and Latinos, further suppress them. All right? Even better, let's destroy these blacks and Latinos in our New World Order setup. That is basically what Rothschild and Company are thinking. All right? Rockefeller and Company. All right? All the rest of our enemies, all right, that make up the elite banking families that presently proudly and tyrannically run this world, all right, that that their message is clear, all right, what their policies, all right, we as a we as a people have no place in their world, all right. Right now, a lot of you colored folks that are more used to commodity, all right, you're more used to your you think you're comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord allows you to have more than enough money to get by. All right, you're able to pay the rent, able to pay this and that, and still able to save a little something. So you're comfortable with that. You're laid back. You already think that's a living, and it's really not. All right, like it or not, you're still in hell, man. Okay, like it or not, this is hell. This is hell for all of us. All right. The only thing is, it has not been fully manifested yet, but we're getting there. All right. Day in and day out, we get there a lot closer, especially with this red man. All right. That's the orange man that's in the White House right now. All right. Okay. Well, what I mentioned earlier, the new kind of policies that's being set up, the new kind of laws and legislation. We're fast headed into into a new digital age, right? a new digital setup, AI technology, all right? Okay? A new AI technology, okay? A lot of people already losing their jobs, all right? And even several white people themselves, those who have woken up, all right, have been able to summarize for their own selves, you know, that they, where they go, wait a minute, what happened? What the fuck is happening here? All right, I've served in the military. I've done this and that, and you mean to tell me right now that I'm being restricted of my own rights? I'm being deprived of my own citizenship. Okay, a lot of white people have a lot of Edomites. Those that aren't Edomites have woken up and realized that this government is not even for them. All right, it may have allowed them some free space, just like it has allowed many of you Negroes and Latinos some so-called free space. All right, you think you can just always do what you want to do, but that is not the case. Okay, we are fast approaching some very serious, challenging times. So this is their way of saying to you colored folks that there is no tomorrow for you. All right, the NWO, okay, the NWO, the MOTB system that's fast approaching. Okay, we as a people, especially those of us in this truth, there is no room for us in this coming digital age. There is no room for us. All right, there is no hope for us in this world. There never was any hope to begin with. All right, there never was. This place was not designed. This place was not established for us to have hope. All right, even going back to the good old simpler slavery days. All right, and even going back as far as 60 years during the so-called civil rights movement. All right, the good old 1960s, right? When you first had that big square head, flamboyant, womanizing President uh, John F. Kennedy up in there, right? And as he was president, as he was the then white king of America, right? You blacks were begging for so-called civil rights, all right? You were begging for so-called civil rights, okay? There was so-called Martin Luther King Jr., all right, with his so-called "I Have a Dream" speech. There was a Malcolm X, so-called Malcolm X, all right, with his so-called pro-black nationalist ways, right? The so-called Nation of Islam, all right. Okay, so even way back, going back to that era, going back 60 years, all right, this place never had was not meant to establish any hope for you so-called black people and Latino, mainly those of you that might still be of the elect. There's no hope for us here. There is hope in Yahweh Shai. There is hope in his second return. There is hope in him having mercy on us. There is hope in him coming back exclusively for us, for those of his chosen ones. There is hope in that. So while the white man may block this and that, okay, from people like us, all right, and telling us that we have no tomorrow, we do have a tomorrow. We may not have a tomorrow in their kingdom, all right, but we do have a tomorrow in Yahweh Shai. We have a tomorrow in Him. We have a tomorrow in His promise, in His mercy, in His glory, in His kingdom. We have a tomorrow. All right. The meek shall inherit the earth. All right. The meek shall inherit the earth. Man. The Lord Himself said that in the book of Matthew. All right. The so-called white man, especially if he's an Edomite, a descendant of Esau and Amalek, there is no tomorrow for you. As, as much as you may establish for yourselves a tomorrow, all right? And you don't want our people to have a tomorrow. The Lord has already predestined you, all right, from the very foundation of this earth, that there is no tomorrow for you in His world, in His kingdom. There is no tomorrow for you, all right? Now, you so called white men, all right, you keep living it up while you still can. You've been real good at that, all right? Because at the end of the day, especially once King Yahushua cracks some clouds open, coming back with them army of so-called UFOs, and He Himself is coming back in a grand UFO, all right? And to my understanding, He'll be right on top of that spaceship. How much more dramatic than that? Once you see that, all right, then get ready. Because for you, there is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. All right? Plain and simple, man. Okay? Now, Lord willing, for the Spirit, all right? All right, moving on now to finish making myself clear. All right, you know what I'm saying. Uh, let's start with the scriptures now to get things popping. All right, and since I mentioned that word popping, all right, like the apostle Elder Tahar himself says, these present day these prophecies today are popping out like popcorn. Okay, pop, 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 pop. All right, they're popping out like popcorn, man. That popcorn and that spiritual pop, that spiritual pot, that spiritual popcorn just keep rising up, man. All right, the prophecy here and there unfolding, earthquake, earthquakes in diverse places, uproars of the people. You know what I'm saying? More and more people are growing uptight with the oppression of the wicked in this society, and they're protesting. All right, the diseases here and there. All right, we got this war in the Middle East. You know, day by day, just intensifying more. All right, leading up to World War III. So these are the last and final days, man. So those of you that might be watching, start getting your start getting yourself together. All right, all right. This ain't no time to keep playing around. All right. Now let's go to. Hold on. Let's go to Blue Letter, right? Let me just go to Google, all right? Okay, then we'll go to Blue Letter, all right? I want to start with this particular scripture, all right? And Lord willing, we'll move on, all right? All right. Um, you only have I known. That's Amos, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm looking it up anyway. I should find that real quick. Oh, oh shit, I was right. Amos. Amos 3 and 2. All right. Let's start with that, man. All right. So Amos 3 and 2, all right, it says this. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for your iniquities. So there you go. But what people is the Most High talking about? All right, it's talking about people like us so-called niggers and spicks, so you can understand. We are we are those people that the Lord has only known of all the families of the earth. All right. So you tell me if that is not a separatist or nationalist statement. Okay. Make no mistake about it. What did I try saying earlier? All right. What did I say earlier? All right. What did I say earlier? All right. Make no mistake about it. The Lord, okay, the one that you ignorantly still call Jesus Christ, that is not his real name. All right. And I learned this the hard way going back to the mid 90s now. All right. That is not his real name. Okay. Yahweh Shai, that's the Lord's real name. He's the ultimate separatist and nationalist. All right. If you thought Malcolm X was something, all right, the so-called pro-black nationalist leaders, you know what I'm saying? That at the end of the day end up selling out for this white man. Uh, so-called Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai ain't nothing like that. All right? He's not coming back on this earth to sell out. Okay? He's coming back to take and destroy this kingdom and set up his own kingdom on the planet earth, a righteous one at that, and one that will last forever. All right? So going back to the scripture, right? You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Okay, so of all the rest of, of all the rest of humanity, all right, to make that more plain, of all humanity, okay, of all humanity now, okay, of the East Indians, right, of the so-called Africans, all right, of the Asians and so on. Okay, the Lord only pre-selected us so-called Negroes and Latinos as the ones that he recognizes as his, as the one, as the ones that he values as his. Plain and simple. All right? You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for your iniquities. And we as a people did not value nor appreciate it, the Lord uh, the us are in the present day conditions that we're yet in. All right, we were punished. All right, you go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, it makes perfect example of that. All right, how we ended up being punished. All right, for the iniquity of our forefathers. You see what I'm saying? Okay then. Now I brought that up. Malachi 1 and 4. Now we're gonna go to Blue Letter. Sister Lakia, with what's happening with this computer here. Hopefully it won't crash on me. All right. All right. Just bear with me a moment. I'm at Blue Letter now. Right. Okay. Malachi 1 and 4. Malachi 1 and 4. All right. So Lakia about that. Okay. You know what? Let's start at verse. Let's start at verse 1. All right. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord. Yet ye say, where hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Say, was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I love Jacob. All right. So the Lord is plainly stating, all right, I started with this scripture, right? Okay. I started with that scripture a while ago, Amos 3 and 6. You only have I known of all the families of the earth, right? Right. Okay. So right here is saying, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? So a lot of our people, based on the conditions that they were put to live in, doubt the Lord. Many have been conditioned to doubt the Lord. All right, especially those who have been, how should I put it, indoctrinated to become more docile in this society, to have nothing but love and respect for the enemy. You see what I'm saying? All right. And so they doubt their true power and creator. All right. so-called Christianity has played a major role in that. These other so-called re, religion, religious foundations, okay, the so-called Nation of Islam being another prime example. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so because many of us were conditioned to live in these ghettos, all right, and not really prosper and be much on top the very same way the so-called white man has achieved, all right. Many of you have doubted the Lord, all right. So I'm going to repeat the scripture again. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet you say, where hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? And I did mention the book of Romans earlier on, where Romans 9 and 13, where it specifically states, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Jacob and Esau, all right, to just to refresh some of y'all memory out there, and in a brief summary, Jacob and Esau were twin brothers in the Bible, all right, in the book of Genesis, all right, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, all right. Ishashua, all right, wasted away is he, meaning no pigmentation on the skin, all right. That that's where that's where uh that's where these people got the term white. That's how they got to name themselves white. That's how they applied themselves the word white. Okay? But Esau was really born red. He had red skin. All right? Red and very hairy skin. A very hairy man, a beastly man at that. All right? Okay? So this whole thing is about two brothers. Okay? Two brothers and their descendants today of for fighting for rulership on this earth, and only one was meant to be the act. Only one was really made a fit to rule, all right, and that's Jacob, all right. So we as a people got next, all right, and the descendants of Esau, beginning with Rothschild and company, they're mad, pissed off at that, man. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading on. All right. Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob and I hated Esau. I'm reading verse 3 now. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. All right. And that's a prophecy, that's a scripture that has yet to be fulfilled, and it will happen. That that that's talking about World War III right there. Upon the Lord's triumphant and dreadful second return, it will be dreadful for our enemies. It will be dreadful for these heathen nations. That second coming. Once that does happen, all right, then the Lord will lay his kingdom waste, all right, and nothing but foul desert creatures, all right, and even dragons, all right, will get to inhabit this land still known as United States of America today, all right. It will be nothing but a monument. It'll be a monument of destruction, man. A desert. never to be inhabited again. All right, that may still, in the minds of many people, sound like a bit far fetched, and you know what I'm saying? Like what? What the hell are you really trying to say? America being laid to waste? According to Bible prophecy and scripture, yes, that's what's getting ready to really happen. All right, all right. It may not happen right tomorrow when we wake up, but it is that near around the corner, man. All right. So verse 3 again, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Verse 4, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. That's the whole point right there. All right. Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. And the Lord hates Esau forever. All right. The Lord has nothing but a perpetual hatred for Esau Edom. And rightfully so, because Esau Edom has a perpetual hatred for us as the Lord's people. Plain and simple, man. All right. Okay, now. So I read that. All right. Let's go to Romans 9:13 now. All right. And I already mentioned Romans 9:13. Yet let us still pay a brief visit. All right. There you go. Romans 9:13. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Okay? It makes it plain and simple right there. All right? All right? Jacob is the so called colored man, and Esau is the so called white man, the red man. Okay? Once again, two brothers that struggled inside the womb, the belly of a so called black woman, Rebecca, back in the ancient world, so you can understand, going back to Genesis 25. All right? Okay, now. All right. Psalms 50 and 16. Let's get there real quick. All right. Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked, Yahweh the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth? All right. So right there, the Lord is saying, unto the wicked now, all right, unto the so-called white man, these so-called white people, right? Many of them like to claim that they're Christians, all right, Bible thumping Christians at that. They claim to know this scripture, they claim to know that scripture, when in reality they don't know jack. All right. They don't know Jack. All right. Yeah, that they establish all these fake so-called religious foundations, like I mentioned earlier, to help make our people docile, all right, and indoctrinate them into so-called Christianity, all right, and have and be on this love trip, love everybody. No, the Lord did not really hate. He loves everybody. He died on that cross for the whole world's sake. All right. In reality, what I just mentioned, that ain't so, Jack. All right. That's why the Lord, that's why the Most High Himself saith here, all right, Psalms 50 and 16, but unto the wicked, the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Salakia. Or that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth. All right? Like you so-called white people that, I'm pointing my finger at you now. All right? There are a good many of you that like calling yourselves Jehovah's Witnesses, so-called Jehovah's Witnesses. All right? One of the wickedest, one of the most hypocritical, demonic and wicked so-called religious foundations on this earth, man. All right? And I can speak for myself on that because I personally got to know a few of them motherfuckers. And they are no damn fucking good, all right? All right? Okay? Now, to give you a brief summary on the so-called Jehovah's Witnesses, all right, their founder, Charles Taze Russell. You look that name up on Google, anywhere on the internet. Charles Taze Russell was nothing but a 33rd degree Mason. All right? That's all he was. There was nothing special about him. All right? He was a damn devil. All right? Just like all you other people, all these other so-called religious groups ain't nothing but devils, man. Okay, Charles Taze Russell. All right, you look him up on the internet, on Google, right? And on his gravestone, if I'm not mistaken, on his gravestone is marked or has a symbol of Freemasonry on it, if I'm not mistaken. So there goes your great founder for you, Charles Taze Russell. All right. So it is unto these hypocritical so-called religious organizations that the Lord is saying, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? That thou takes my covenant in thy mouth? All right. You see what I'm saying? A lot of you are teaching nothing but lies. All right. Leading our people to become docile Negroes. Okay. And in reality, our people were not really meant to be docile. That's another major problem right there. All right. Our people, especially the so-called black community, Latino community, have been conditioned and been indoctrinated to hate and kill each other, yet have nothing but pure love and respect for the so-called white man. Have nothing but pure love and respect unto the enemy. All right? Unto the enemy that put us in the condition that we're in. that put us living in these ghettos. The South Bronx, all right, South Central LA, Crenshaw, all right, Oakland, all right. These places in LA, man, all these ghetto areas, Chicago's South Side, all right, okay. So there you go, okay. I'm gonna read verse 17. Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. There you go. All right. So Esau in reality is a disobedient child unto the Most High. That's another reason the Most High hates him, because Esau today, his descendants prefer to go their own way. They don't want no instruction from the higher power. No, we are the higher power. Okay? Those of them who are yet still in rulership, they think they are the Most High. And they like setting up their own laws and legislations to further oppress and keep down and even destroy our people. So that's why the Lord is saying here, seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee. There you go. All right. Now, uh, yeah, let's go to Genesis 27 and 41 now. All right. I mentioned Genesis earlier, right? All right, let's get there real quick. All right. So Genesis 27 and 41. Salah. I'm on the scripture now, and it says this: And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Them I will slay my brother Jacob. Now, why is that? All right? If you're able to read and learn for yourself the whole rest of Genesis 27, you see where I'm coming at. All right? Like I said earlier, this whole this whole thing with the planet Earth today, everything that's going on is based on two brothers, really. All right? It all has to do with that birthright. Jacob Jacob was the one meant to have exclusiveness to the birthright. And it it was really meant to be Jacob's birthright. You see what I'm saying? It was really meant to be his birthright, but he gave it up. He gave it up because he was hungry. He gave it up for the sake of raw meat because he was not spiritual enough to maintain his hunger a bit longer. You see what I'm saying? That's where all that hatred really comes from. So this hatred, right? This hatred that's been installed upon us today by the so-called white man. All right, it's not all about it ain't all just about skin color. It's about that birthright, man. All right, it's about that exclusivity. That's where all that hatred really comes from. That hatred, that jealousy, that desire to kill, to slay, destroy our people. That's 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 where that hatred was. I'm reading the origins right here. I'm going to read it again. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherein his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. So that's when murder. That's how the word murder was first born on this earth. All right. If I'm not mistaken, Esau was the reincarnation of Cain. All right, Cain and Abel. All right, Cain was the first to envy and his brother. All right, and Cain was the first to initially kill Abel. All right, that's how murder first came to be on this earth. All right, okay. Cain was the first one to kill. So Esau was the reincarnation of Cain. All right, and pardon me for all this coughing and shit. See what I'm saying? Some demons trying to get in the way. But I think I made my whole point on that. All right, Psalms 83 now. All right, let's go to Psalms 83, and I have just a few scriptures left to finish making my point. Psalms 83. I'm only going to read a few verses of this. Okay. Okay, so Psalms 83 and 1. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O Lord. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And that's exactly what they're doing right now as I speak. This very day, 2026, that's exactly what they are doing. They are taking crafty counsel against our people with this so-called New World Order, their digital technology set up, the AI, artificial intelligence, right? These new laws that they're setting up where they intend to even make the Bible illegal, all right? That they want to try and block this truth from further being spread throughout the world. So they're coming up with these laws now. Make the Bible illegal. Remove the modern day prophets, beginning with the apostles on down off the street corners. But remove this truth from being further told on these sit downs over the internet. They're going to put a blocking to all of that, man. And that's why the Bible itself and even brothers will tell you about this famine of the word. Okay? Which, if I'm not mistaken, is in the book of Romans somewhere in the 8th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, where it mentions about a famine of the word, where this word, this truth, they they don't want it, they don't want to hear it no more. They don't want the people to hear it no more. So you can understand that that's where we're headed to. Okay, that's what this crafty counsel is about. I'm going to read that again. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. All right, the hidden ones. All right, the real Israelites of the Bible, so you can understand. Those are the hidden ones. They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, the real Israel, Yasha Allah, may be no more remembrance." Well, what I said earlier, they want to kill, destroy our people. All right, and I read Genesis only moments ago. I read you where Esau uh, first, he developed that hatred for Jacob right early on. All right, that he would wait for his father's death, and then he would proceed to try and slay Jacob. All right, verse 5: For they have consulted together with one consent; they are confederate against thee. Meaning in unison. Okay, okay, all our enemies, beginning with the so-called white man. Okay, the elite banking family, along with the top heathen nations. Okay, the Africans, the East Indians, the Asians, right? Those are the ones who are in unison. Okay, with the so-called white power structure, and help keeping our people down, and then trying to destroy our people, plain and simple. All right? For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Verse 6: The tabernacles of Edom, okay, Edom, Rome, okay, Edom, Rome, this modern day Roman Empire, that's Esau, Edom, okay, the so called white power structure, right? and the Ishmaelites, the so-called Arab, and of Moab, the so-called Chinese, and of the Hagarenes, okay, another heathen nation, all right? Verse 7, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Aser is also joined with them. They have helped in the children of Lot, Salah. Verse 9, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Okay? So I'm going to leave it there. They became as dung for the earth. And that's what the Lord will do to them upon his return in these last days. He's going to make these nations literally be like shit, so you can understand. All right? Make them the less than nothing that they were meant to be. And speaking of less than nothing, the Spirit is telling me, I did not have this scripture handy at first, but I'm gonna read it out now. Isaiah 40. Let's go there real quick. All right. I'm looking for the scripture that says, all nations before him are as nothing. Here we go. Isaiah 40 and 17. All nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing, and vanity. There you go. All right. So as much as Esau wants to be this ultimate nationalist and separatist, he's only for his people, right? And for many of you colored that might still be around today, and you were around during the 60s era. I mentioned that a little while ago. And you were probably living down south as a younger person. You remember them white only days, right? The white only signs, white only, colored only, all right? Okay, white only establishments, white only bathrooms, all right? White only water fountains. Okay? The Lord himself is saying here, all nations before him, that includes these so-called white people now, the Edomites, all nations before him are as nothing, and they are counted to him less than nothing and vanity. So there you go, man. All right. Wisdom of Solomon. Let's read a few verses off of that. All right. All right, so this is Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 10. All right, which could serve as a precept to Psalm, the few verses I read off Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Right, it says here, "Let us oppress the poor righteous man." Okay, the poor righteous man. Okay, are the Israelites, the real Israelites, so-called Latinos, Negroes, and Native Americans. All right, you people that live in these Bronx neighborhoods, South Bronx, okay, South Central LA, okay, Crenshaw, okay, East LA, all right, Chicago South Side, and so on. All right, you are the poor righteous man that these rich white men and heathen nations love to oppress. And where I read in Psalms the 83rd chapter, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel, the real Israel, all right, us as the true chosen people, be no more in remembrance. All right. So right here is saying, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reference the ancient grays, the ancient gray hairs of the age. All right? Meaning that they have no mercy. They don't give a fuck for even the elderly of our people. Plain and simple. All right? Now, if I scroll down, it further goes on to say in verse 11, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. Let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraided us with our offending the law, and objected to our infantry, the transgressings of our education. He professeth to have the knowledge of the Most High, and calleth himself the child of the Lord. See? Okay? The so-called white power structure of Esau Edom, they know that they are Esau Edom. They know this truth was not meant for them. And they know that the so-called Negroes and Latinos were the ones predestined, all right, not only to have real rulership of this planet Earth, but before that, be the modern day prophets, okay, and apostles out there on the street corners, the highways and byways, all right, and even these sit downs on the internet, letting the people know the truth about themselves. They don't want this truth be further thought no more. All right, okay. That that's why I read them scriptures earlier. All right, that's why I read them scriptures earlier that deal with them coming up with these new policies, uh, legislation to start abandoning this truth, make the Bible illegal, create a more how should I put it? Create what's the word I'm looking for? Just create a more dystopian society. Okay, where so-called religion, so-called even so-called Christianity, for you people that love Christianity, even that will be outlawed. Anything that has to do with the Lord in general, even anything that has to do with so-called Jesus Christ, will be outlawed, will be, they're going to try and cast all this out. You best better believe it, man. All right? This is where we're headed to. Okay? That's why I read the scripture. Okay? All right now. Second Thessalonians, all right? Second Thessalonians, all right, 2 and 8, and I'll end it with Colossians. All right. Let's look for Second Thessalonians. All right. So Second Thessalonians 2 and 8, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Okay, the brightness of his coming. That is the that is when the Lord will crack the clouds open. It's going to be a very dramatic day, a very heavy duty and dramatic day. Whether I may live to really see it or not, Abaratasa, Lord willing, I could envision it. It's going to be a very heavy duty day. All right. For those of you that love these these so-called science fiction movies, right? Okay. For those of you that love Star Wars and all that, Star Trek, beam me up, Scotty, right? Even Independence Day, all right? The real Independence Day is right around the corner, okay? That's why it says here, all right, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. The brightness of his coming is the dramatic fashion in which the Lord will come back on them so-called UFOs. Okay? The chariots of the supreme being, so you can understand. All right? There goes the illustration again. All right? Okay? That's not exactly how he's coming back, but it's a, how should I put it? It serves as a prelude. Okay, a prelude. All right, a fashion of how he's coming back, a preview, so you can understand. All right, that's what's getting ready to happen. Okay, all right, and the wicked, day in and day out, more than ever, the wicked are revealing themselves. Okay, and it's now more evident than ever. All right, everybody, even those of the very so-called white race, are finding out for themselves. All right, who are the true? How should I put it? They are finding out for themselves the wickedness of their very government. Let's sum it up like that. Okay, so that's the wicked being revealed for you. All right, okay. Colossians 3 and 25. Let's end it with that. All right. Colossians 3 and 25. I'm going to try and highlight it. All right. And what does that say? All right. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. And there is no respect of person. All right. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. Now that he may also apply to those of our people who they were the first wrongdoers to begin with. That's why many of us are in the condition that we are yet in today for the wrongdoing of our forefathers. But boy, have we learned our lesson. You see what I'm saying? Now it is Esau's time to learn. And boy, are they going to learn. All right? That now it is getting that this scripture is more it relates more to them now as a people, as a race. It's time for them to pay for what they have done to our people. All right? All the destruction, all the slaying, the barbaric slaying of our people, beginning with Christopher Columbus, all right, Cristobal Colon, all right? He just kept chopping heads and limbs and legs off for, for, for over an hour. He himself said it. It is documented, all right? All the lynchings, all right? And to this very day, the lynchings yet still continue. You may not hear much about it, but it still yet continues. All right, them evil cracker Edomites that live down south, and they love to hang our people. They got a lot of payback to look forward to, man. All right, but he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. All right. So I hope this was edifying. Shalom.